Hey everyone, I will be explaining a process of how I sketch and paint and in what order I do things, and hopefully this shows some methods that you can implement in your own drawing process. I start with a rough sketch, and here I'm trying to figure out the proportions and where things go in general. I try to keep the sketching lines loose and I don't go into any specific details like the proportions of the face, and all I'm trying to do right now is figure out the big general proportions of the entire painting. After the rough sketch, I do line art and I try to refine things even more. Even here, I don't tend to draw small details because I'm trying to keep it rough and also because I know I'm gonna paint over this. And here comes the face proportions. Drawing the face is the hardest for me and it takes quite a lot of trial and error to get it how I want it to be. And this is definitely the most important part of the drawing because the first thing most people look at is the face. And after that, I start sketching the hair. When it comes to drawing hair, I treat it as one big shape instead of individual strands. I basically go from one big main shape to medium shapes like clumps of hair and then the small strands. Drawing things in this way helps me not to get stuck focusing on small details. After I'm done sketching, I start the rendering process with flat colors. And it also helps me keep things simple because I get stuck easily and doing one thing at a time, treating a brain like its one brain cell, make things a lot easier. Here I was drawing the hand and I got lucky that in the reference the hand was out of focus, so all I did was draw the basic shape of the hand, Gaussian blur it, and moved on. Whenever I see a hand in a reference, I just do a big exhale and prepare myself for the struggle. And here I did a quick background. All I did was just lay down the colors and Gaussian blur it, and it worked. So I moved on to shadows immediately. After I'm done with flat colors, it's time to figure out where the lights and the shadows go. And I also laid down where the hard edges and the soft edges will go. And when I'm separating the lights and shadows, I try not to go into the individual values of those shadows and light. I will indeed do that, but later in the process. Values basically mean how light or dark a color is, and they are kind of the main thing that gives a character a 3D form. And talking about airbrush, if you are someone who majorly relies on your airbrush for all your rendering, your drawings can look out of focus and muddy. Just keep the airbrush in the side and try a hard brush. Like here, I'm using a round brush for all the shadows. It might look weird in the start, but all I can say is trust the process and be confident when you're laying down shadows with a hard brush. And you don't even need to ditch your airbrush completely. You can use your airbrush to blend the skin tones and soften the edges of the shadows. And having a combination of hard edges and soft edges in your shadows will give your drawing a 3D realistic look. Here I was guessing the values of the lights and midtones and also a little bit of clothing. Here I started painting light on the hair and damn, it was hard, not gonna lie. And the reason it was hard was because in the reference image There were so many strands that were catching the light, it really made it hard for me to exactly know where the light was going, and but eventually it worked out, so it's all cool. And here finally I started to figure out the values of the shadows and lights. Even in this time lapse, I used a round hard brush to blend the top of the neck. Also, a side tip: always draw from big to small. Trust me, it makes the process so much easier. And if you're unsure about the colors or values you're going to use in your painting, just use the color picker tool and glaze over the reference. And then go to your color and just try to guess the color that was there. I was actually surprised that I could kind of guess the right color just by guessing. Almost done with the piece, and now I'm just refining things, softening the edges, doing a little bit more on the clothes, blurring it, and also making it more contrasty. You can also see me kind of going back and forth on the glowing effect because I was unsure if I want to use the glowing effect or not. But at the end, I decided to stick to the glowing effect. Also, if you want to try the glowing effect in your drawing, just use clip mask layer, go in blending mode and set it to soft light. I personally use soft light because it works for me, but you can try different blending modes and see what works for you. The glow effect is done, and also I did more strands. You can see for a split second a white line on the back of the hair. That's because I tried to use rim lighting, but it didn't look good, so I scrapped the idea. And that's my digital art process from start to finish. Thanks for watching.